Good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock. I'd like everybody to please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Bernie Coleman, excused absence. Christopher Cole here. Cindy Green
Here.
I'm saying here, and Chuck Gregerman.
Here.
Next, we have the presentation of agenda. Do we have any amendments or additions to the agenda? Are we at the limestone things?
Yes.
Okay. Item would be 16K, would be addition of 1 mile of limestone placement. Are there any other amendments?
Is that extra?
Yeah.
On mine?
Yeah, extra one. Any other changes? Hearing none, motion would be in order to approve the agenda as amended.
Make their motion.
Is there support?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda, we have the public hearing for our FY 25-26 general fund budget public hearing. So a motion would be in order to call the public hearing. Please.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Public hearing called to order at 7:01. The Richmond Township Board met on April 4th to have a study session on the FY 25-26 budget. We did address at that time, which we will talk about in our next public hearing, the fire and EMS village, also the library village, the garbage pickup. All in all, our total revenues with all of those together stand at, if the budget is approved, will stand at $1,931,612. This includes a $200 fund balance transfer from general fund. The board agreed to put $100,000 toward the clean-out of county drains, and we are also going to have a bill for, give or take, $100,000 for our 5% of the bridge repair on 32 Mile Road that the county will do. We are responsible for 5% of that. Our state share of revenue went up about $9,000 this year, and our property taxes went up about $13,000. The biggest difference in the income and revenue, which is a wash because we billed the treasury bills for the same amount that cost us was the garbage pickup, went from $218,000 to $273,000. That was a big difference, but we had been at the same rate for 10 years. So we knew we were going to get an increase with, with the new contract. So our total expenses for this year are at $1,843,523. The cost of living raise is 2.5%, and that is what everybody across the board got. The fund balance, the additional amount of revenue over expenditures, if this budget is approved, will be $88,089. So, on that note, I would like to go ahead and open up public comment. Anyone having public comment, can you please come up regarding the general fund budget and state your name and address and let us know your concerns or your comments.
Judy Murphy, 31707, First Vermont. As a member of the Richmond Recreation Board, I was at the bid opening for the trail, for the walking path, last Monday, I believe, and I was very surprised at the cost of the trail, the path. I'm hoping we can do something to get grants or some other way of lowering the bill. I hope that's possible because I'm really looking forward to the path.
Thank you. Are there any other comments on the general fund budget?
Hello, I'm Richard Rube, 71684 Veronica Drive. I'm also part of the Recreation Committee. As Judy said, this did come in higher than thought, we're open. We're all hoping we'll consider adding funds to that. Residents have asked for us in multiple surveys, so it would benefit the residents as well. Building it, I feel also, if we go ahead and do it, it will give us more opportunities to use our grant money for the state, because it shows the initiative that the township has invested in to start with, with the walking path. So, you can sit,
Are there any other comments?
Lacey Nails, 26161 Dayton Road. This is the first I'm hearing about the cost of the trail, but it does concern me. I just want to say that Hannah was made that there were surveys sent out and several people requested it, but as I recall, there were 30 or 40 responses to the survey.
Right, and we're going to discuss that in more depth later. This is just about particular funding in the budget right now. That item is later on down in the agenda.
Is there really balance in the budget now for that, or just the board of?
No, and we'll talk about that, but later when we discuss that.
Yeah, for now, I'm just concerned.
Yep, absolutely, I appreciate it. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, is there any discussion by the board regarding the proposed budget? All right, hearing none, motion would be in order to adjourn the public hearing for the FY25-26 general fund budget.
I'll make, go ahead.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support?
I'll support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. The public hearing that is posted at 7:06. Pardon me. The next public hearing that we have is the first required public hearing on the fire and EMS or public safety funds. A motion would be in order to open the first public hearing on that for the FY25-26 fire and EMS budget.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support? I'll support.
I'll support.
Okay. If there's no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Public hearing is open on the fire and EMS at 7:07 p.m. This year, the cost for the expenditures for the fire and EMS is $537,668. The EMS cost did go up. This was, I think, a lot of it was due to insurance costs that they're feeling the big pinch with. However, our fire contracts did go down. The city of Memphis came to us, and originally in their contract that we signed a couple of years ago, this FY was going to be at about $51,000. They started basing their expenses on run volume versus how we used to do it, and it went down to a little less than $20,000. So the cost for the fire contracts this year is $67,368, and the EMS is at $470,300. The revenue, since this is a millage that you folks have to pay, this was voted in quite a while ago, at 0.00335 mils for fire. That will raise $67,700. For EMS at 0.00233, it will raise $470,868. So there's about a $900 difference between what the expenses and the revenue will bring. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and open this to public comment. Does anyone have public comment on this? Okay, hearing none, does the board have public comment on this? Okay, hearing none, motion would be in order to close the public hearing, the first public hearing on fire and EMS.
I'll support.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Because it is PA 215, we are required to have a second public hearing on that, and that will be at the June meeting. All right, so next item on the agenda is the approval of, I'm sorry, I'm going back, I'm looking through there. Is there any comment on anything outside of those public hearings on the agenda? Okay, now we'll go to minutes. Approval of minutes, we have the special workshop I alluded to earlier, April 4th, 2025. Regular board meeting at April 9, 2025. Special board meeting April 16th, 2025. and another special board meeting April 28th, 2025. We can approve all four meetings at one time. If someone wants to make a motion or if someone has discussion on one of those, you can approve three of them at four however you want to do it. So I will open the floor to a motion on those.
I'll make that motion.
To approve all four? Okay, is there support?
Support.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Thank you, clerk Stump. Oh, that was one. There we go. Okay. Next item we have is the consent agenda. We have the building department report, the EMS report, office administrator report, planning commission report, and in front of us, I do believe we have the NEMC minutes as well. The motion would be in order to approve the consent agenda as presented, or if you'd like to pull something off and discuss it later, I would need you to include that in the motion. I'll make the motion to go ahead and approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll support that.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those nay, motion is carried. Pardon me. Next item on the agenda is the financial reports. Kathy has given us all the bills. Does anyone have any questions for those for this month? Hearing none, a motion would be in order to approve these bills as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Next, we have the treasurer's report. Chris, can you give us that, please?
Sure. In the general fund, we have $901,295.05. In the tax disbursement account, we have $173,021.75. In the recreational fund, we have $458,285.06. In the investment accounts, we have $743,205.41. In the PBR account, we have $24,459.49. In other accounts, $17,480.44. With a grand total of $2,317,743.20. I just wanted to let you know, though, that Tom did write out 2 checks after in the tax account for the admin fee, which was deposited into the general fund. So that happened after April 30th. So right now, we do have a balance in the tax disbursement account for $29,532.15.
Are there any questions for the treasurer's report? Hearing none, the treasurer's report will stand as presented. Next, we have farmland preservation. Mr. Coleman is not here this evening. It did indicate to me that it appears as though we are going to get some more money from the state for that program. Since he knows far better than I do, let me explain that at the next meeting, unless Kathy, you have anything you want to add to that, because I know you know a lot more about that than I do.
And that's exactly all I know.
Okay, building report, Jeff is not here this evening. The assessor's report, does anyone have any questions that they would like me to take back to Christine? All right, hearing none, we will go to the library report, please.
Hi. Hello. I do have some updates for the library because they've got a lot going on, or have had a lot going on. So they had the book sale and the puzzle sale. They said that it was their highest grossing book sale ever. So they have a combined total of $4,300. And that money helps to run the summer reading program and get some magazine subscriptions and some other projects that they're working on. There is an ongoing program for the summer kickoff is right now, it's today, for the summer reading change, like programs that they're having, you can go and sign up right now. And another one for younger children starts June 16th, which they'll sign up for that and then go and have a nice little party and things like that, so it's really fun. They're going to have a coding day, which is going to be really cool, and it's going to be the mini Spiros. So they'll code these, and they're going to go on around the little golf course. That's on Monday, May 19th. You have to pre-register for that. It's at 3 o'clock, from 3 to 4. So it's kind of nice. Children 5 and older. There will be another evening puzzle competition on June 20th, 6 p.m. Only $5 per team. If 4 people come in, then you get pizza and refreshments, so that's pretty good. And then the week goes for Memorial Day, Saturday through Monday. That's all I have for the library report. There will be upcoming news coming up for that. It's going to be pretty exciting. I'll tell you more about that next month.
And then, is there any questions? Sure. All right, then we will go on to NMC.
Okay, so the MEMC report, we don't have a lot to discuss. However, going through the payments that you did give, we have just this one, which we did kind of go through, and I don't know whether or not we didn't see it, whatever happened, but I do have a copy of it, which I'll give to you today. You can take a look at it and see through your past records also that you can check that matched it. You can see, I think this was your copy, or there is a copy for you. You'll see it. So I'll give this to you after the meeting. You can take a look at it.
Can I add on to her conversation? I did get a hold of a lady from the main office, and they are going to start paying her checks. So you should be getting the franchise fees soon, I would hope.
Did they say they're going to do this for all the counties? Did they say?
Yes,
I know.
I asked about
Only concern. Okay, so that's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll come to sections like it used to currently. So,
Every 3 months.
right, okay. I'll give this to you.
You'll give it to me?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Everyone all set? No more questions? Okay, thank you. Next, we have the report from the Recreation Advisory Board. And we're just going to cover a few dates that we covered at our last meeting. The kite flying event is September 13th, 2025. The Halloween event is October 18th, 2025. And the Christmas event is going to be December 9th, 2025. I'm, excited about all of them. We have decided we're going to bring in, is it like a snow cone truck? We're looking at Ken's face because she knows. And offer that at the same time as the kite flying event is. And we had also discussed the fact, depending on the discussion for what we have tonight, if we do have that, kind of putting the kite flying event in with a grand opening type thing for the path. So that's all that I have for that. Any questions on that?
You guys are doing a great job in the recreation department. Got a lot going on. You're moving fast. You're
We have a
doing
good
a lot.
board.
and little bit of
There
time.
you have a good board. They show up all the
I
time.
know, I'm impressed.
So next item, we have unfinished business. At last month's meeting, I had approval of an alternate board review member. Trustee Treasurer suggested that we advertise this to make sure that we had offered this up to all residents of the township. So I did talk to the manager, and she did put the advertisement on the website as well as send out constant contact. I requested anyone that was interested to please get me a letter to my supervisor to be emailed by May 1st. I checked that a few times and did check at the final time, I think May 3rd. I looked at my spam to make sure I wasn't missing anything. I didn't see any other applications, so at this time I am asking for approval to appoint Geraldine Winans as the alternate board of review member to the township board of review.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support?
I'll support that.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. And I think I'm going to try to remember based on that next time we have a vacancy to put that on the website like that and send it out so we make sure we're covering everybody. So it was a good idea. Okay, we are now on to new business. First item under new business is approval of resolution 2025-04. That's to the General Appropriations Act. That is the official document that we have to submit with our audit. I'm sure you take that with our audit because he was the one that explained to us how we have to do this and has the numbers from our budget in it. We did have our public hearing earlier, and to that order, a motion would be in order to approve Resolution 2025-04 for the General Appropriations Act.
Move it.
Is there support?
I'll support that. And I would like to add that the supervisors, the biggest sole job is putting forth a completely balanced, great budget. They did a wonderful job. It was easy to go through it. I loved it. We haven't seen it in a while. Perfect. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Next item on the agenda is approval of Resolution 2025-05, establishing the township supervisor salary. The reason that we need to adopt these resolutions is that we do not have a local officials compensation provision, and the law requires us to adopt a resolution for each officer's salary. So that's why we need this step. So a motion would be in order to adopt that resolution.
Make the motion.
Is there support? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Next item is Resolution 2025. This is a resolution to establish the township officer salary for the township clerk. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Is there support?
I'll support it.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Next, we have the Resolution 2025-07 to approve the treasurer's salary. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Is there support?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Resolution 2025-8. This is a resolution to approve the salary for the township trustees.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there support?
I'll support that.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Next item on the agenda, we have the adoption of the newspaper for publication requirements. This is something we need to do every year. Suggested that we use the North Macomb Voice and occasionally the Macomb Daily. So a motion would be in order to approve that, those as our newspapers of publication.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support?
I'll support it.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Next, we have approval of Resolution 2025-09. This is approval of our EMS week proclamation to appreciate our EMS staff who always go above and beyond. I would like a motion to be in order to approve this resolution.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support?
I'll support it.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. At this time every year, excuse me, we generally discuss if we're going to do something for the EMS, and I think in the past 2 years, we have taken ice cream to them. And how much does that usually run each of
Oh,
us?
no, it's gonna make a
It's like $30 or $40.
each.
Yeah,
So
each.
we used to get Dairy Queen, Dill Bar, just a variety of
Okay.
different kinds. If you guys want to keep doing the same thing, I don't know. I think Dairy Queen went up a lot, but I'm not sure how much. I'm still willing to go the distance.
Me too.
That EMS does for us.
I am too. And then we deliver it to them.
Yeah.
Isn't everybody okay with that? Are you, Chuck, are you okay with that? Okay, then we'll go ahead and,
I can do it.
Are you sure?
Really burn.
oh, really good. Okay. So we're good with that? And they like it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, awesome.
And it's on the 18th, correct?
It's the week of the
Maybe.
18th through the 24th.
So I'll shoot everybody an email as to what to bring to the next meeting, as to what was that. Good?
Yep, thank you.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of the Richmond Township Investment and Depository Designation. The treasurer has to put this together. She lets us know where we're doing our banking. And and all the banks that we deal with. So a motion will be in order to approve resolution number 2025-10 as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support? I'll support. Is there any further discussion?
Are these the same banks that we've been dealing with already, or are you changing banks?
Only one that I add was Chase Bank. All the other ones were on there,
Are we dealing with Choice One currently?
no.
Why would we go to Chase Bank outside of the township or out of our area?
I just put that on there because at the EMS meeting that I attended, John Gideon really spoke highly with Chase Bank, so I just put that on there. We don't have any funds there, we don't have any funds with Choice One, the third bank, Flat Star, just, they were on there, I left them on there.
I think it's very important that we support our local banks. We need the local banks that support our community and lend in our communities. And when we go to large corporate banks out of this area, how many dollars do you think they invest back in their community?
If the treasurer is okay with that, we can certainly add Choice One to that list of
They are on
depositories.
here.
Oh, they are.
They are on here.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they're on here. There's, at this time, there's no money
Okay.
in that bank, and a lot of them, there's no money.
Okay. Okay, are you all set with that?
As long as we're not spending money out of it, it's going to the local banks. I just assumed they weren't out of there.
They're set to the bottom, Choice One Bank.
No, I mean Chase Bank.
Oh, Chase Bank.
I'd feel more comfortable if that was taken off.
I was at that meeting with Mr. Gideon as well, and I know that we did talk about his concern with investing in larger banks. For me, with that particular one, personally, I would be fine leaving it on. We don't have money there.
No.
And she does bring stuff back to us. I don't want us to eliminate it and then, you know, I feel like they're a solid bank, and he said they were one of the bigger banks in the country. So, I mean, just on advice, I think on the auditor's side, I would feel that way.
Well, we have no money in Chase One Bank currently.
No.
They're FDIC guaranteed. Why do we want to take money out of the area?
I don't know that that would be taking money out of the area, since there are other banks on there that we don't have money in either. That would just allow us an opportunity if something fabulous came along to use them, I think.
If we were to take it off this resolution, that means we could not use it. So we're further ahead and leave it on.
I do feel like you're further ahead, and Choice One is on here as well, so but certainly we can vote, and we can vote however we feel about that. So, fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay, so we had discussion. I think maybe, can we do a roll call on this, please?
Sure.
Okay.
Me first, yeah. I say we keep leave it on.
Okay.
Yours.
Yes, and I would say yes to approve the resolution.
I say no.
Okay.
And Chris.
I say yes.
Okay, motion is carried. All right, so we are now down to item I. This is P for lot splits. As I mentioned in my brief memo, I've been here since 1998. As long as I've been here, the fee for the lot splits has been $100. I think that the work involved in them is probably a little more than it used to be. I did have the office manager research what communities that were surrounding us charge. Bruce Township in Washington, as I mentioned in my memo, my guess is maybe they don't do a ton of single lot splits like we do. I don't know that for sure. I'm recommending 135. Our main township's at 125. Memphis is low at 75. Lennox is at 346. Ray and Casco and Columbus are all above the 135. So I would start with a motion to approve the 135 and a support, then we can discuss.
I'll make a motion to approve the 135.
Is there support for that? So I'm going to start, Chris, with you. How do you feel about going to 135? Would you prefer to keep it at 100, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think, you know, we could raise that up $35. That's not asking too much.
Okay.
It's been $100
Yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think that's too much.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
You're good with it? John? Okay. All right, the motion and support are,
Kathy and Chris.
yep. And we had discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Next, we have the award bid for walking path. So, as was mentioned earlier, I'm gonna digress a bit here and say that last May, I believe it was, the Township Board and the Recreation Advisory Board had a meeting here to discuss how we wanted to move forward with the walking path. Kathy and Vern and I have been on the board for a long time. Chris, you've been in the office, and you know this is something we've been working on getting property. I think we got a property maybe 8 years ago or so. And we did sell the Stove 80, and when we sold that, it was our intent to put that toward recreation. So we did get together and we met and we had our engineer go through a plan. We had cut out, it wasn't nearly as big as the original plan we had. We took a bit of a path off, we left some other amenities off, and we got to a point where back then we felt it was going to be between 425 and 450,000 to complete that work. So we said we could go ahead and put that in motion. We did. So I drafted the RFP for us, and imagine our surprise when we sat here and the bids were open, and the low bid was over $1 million. The low bid was $1,668, yeah. And I think for the first night after that, I just went home and I was just, you know, I've got a lot of myself into this, but I'm not immune or, you know, I know there are a lot of needs in the township. So in my head, there was absolutely no way that I could see spending, you know, we had about $460,000. There was no way I felt good about spending another $500,000 on a path. It just was not, I couldn't justify that at all. There was no way. So I talked to Sir Matt, and I told him, and I had talked to him before, and I said, you know, if they come in a little high, if they're a little higher than the 460 or whatever, you know, I might be able to come to the township board and say, okay, are we willing to put more money in? So at this point, I have asked Sir Matt and I, we met before the meeting, and I told him I was going to kind of rely on him to explain the changes that were made and what the bid is now and what that means to us as a township. So Sir Matt will throw this to you if I can.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. So in your packet, there's a recommendation for the actual bid as is. Two bidders, 1.068 and 1.164. The low bidder is James P. Conrad. And based on the scope and the unit prices, we recommend their proposal. However, that may not work with your budget. So we spent all week last week with the contractor trying to trim the scope to make it in a workable budget for the township. So the majority of the items are the park amenities, which are the pavilions, the picnic tables, the receptacles, and the benches. And if we trim those items out of the scope of work, we're at 620 approximately. However, that's deleting all the park benches, the concrete for the benches, the receptacles, the pavilions, and the picnic tables. So to comply with the ADA standards, we need to put back the park benches and the pads, or at least the pads for the benches later. There are 8 benches or 8 pads their budget to be around 660. Allow for the concrete to come in and prep for future projects. No pavilions, no picnic tables, no receptacles. That's what the contractor is willing to do. Now, bear in mind that there's so much we can trim out of the project before the contractor is not willing to move forward. It's basically it's not worth it for us to do the work anymore. With profit and markup in their schedule. But they agreed to trimming the amenities and bringing down this between 620 to 660. Whether we do the concrete pads or not, that's the 40,000 difference between the 620 and 660. So if the board would like to move forward adjusting your budget, my recommendation for the authorize the supervisor is either the contract administrator of the project with a budget not to exceed 660.
Thank you. So that being said, I feel like I've been maybe stray from what we normally do here. We're not supposed to have a ton of interaction with the audience members. This is a lot of money, and I'm, part of me wants to do it, part of me just says, it's too much. I would like to be able to have a little bit, not a lot. I don't want this to be, a 4-hour conversation where there's a lot of heat going back and forth, but I would like to allow for some comments from the people that generally come to our meeting. One of the comments we had after the bid opening was for one of our recreation members that was there. We talked about how we lower the cost, and she said, I hate to build this, and then we're just getting it halfway. But I feel that, was it 2 years ago, Sir Ben, you and I talked to Samantha Davis at the DNR, and Kathy's familiar with how the grants work. Their biggest issue to want to allow to grant you money is that you show that you're interested in recreation. You're not just saying, okay, here we have, we have some acres, we'd like you to give us $1 million and we don't want to put in any more money. And another thing they said was they give a lot of extra points for anything that is handicap accessible, which this path is the correct width, right? So, if we did the pads, we're asking for another $200,000. Last year, the fund balance increased by $95,000. The year before, it was almost $130,000 over and above what we thought we were going to have. Does that mean it's going to do that this year? No. I can't tell you that. We know it's good, but nobody knows. Is our fund balance pretty healthy? It is. We've been pretty conservative as a board over the years and been pretty careful and mindful of how we spend our money. The questions that remain, so if we don't do this now, do we bother having a park? Is it going to be beneficial to let the property sit there with nothing on it and we run it out to somebody to farm every year? Because it's my belief, and I don't know this, but generally things don't get cheaper. I can't imagine next year this is going to be a lot less money. It will probably be more money. I could be totally wrong. But that's just the nature of the beast.
I got some questions on it.
Yes.
They're pretty simple, but what is it going to cost us to insure this per year? What's our liability?
No more. I talked to him and there's no more liability.
What's it going to cost us to maintain it?
Well, our maintenance staff, who we pay hourly, will be the one that does it.
Okay, so we're going to scrape these paths and salt them in the winter.
That is my understanding that he will be doing that, because when we agreed, I think we agreed at the maintenance staff 2 or 3 years ago, and it was with discussion that this was coming. Prior to that, the EMS staff they were always the ones mowing and everything, and we knew it was gonna be a bigger job, right? We bought the 7 acres, it was gonna be farm, someone was gonna have to mow it, and that's when we went from relying strictly on the EMS to hire somebody.
But I think there's definitely going to be expenditure. There's no way someone's going to mow 7 acres every week, sometimes twice a week, and then that'd be expensive when we start talking about year round. And when we put these paths down, I can't help but believe that our liability insurance is not going to go up because there's quite a bit of liability exposure here.
So when I talked to Steve, he said that with Parks Recreation, when you see your liability increase with that is when you start having a recreation department that will open up activities once or twice a week to people. It will be bringing people in, and you will be offering that type. I asked him, I said, so what happens if, we have the path, and then if in a couple of years we can afford playground equipment, how much does that increase our liability? And he said, really, it's more the activity of you bringing people in. He said it's not abnormal. Most places do it. If you go to a bigger park, they will have signs out, and it's a very normal thing that says, you're there at your own risk. You're doing this at your own risk. And when I talked to the attorney, it was the same answer that I got from her.
I personally feel, and I'm only speaking for myself, that it's a large exposure here, a large amount of money that was unanticipated. I think the general community has been anticipating the 400,000 to the park. Now it's not 400,000, it's considerably more. I personally would be feel a lot better if we took this to the township and either let them vote on it as a community, or if nothing else, posted it for 30 days minimum. You give them a chance to comment about it and attend a meeting where they know it's going to be on the agenda. They know what we're doing, so it's never going to be second guessed. How come we didn't have a chance to, how did this happen, how did it come about, and why weren't we notified and why didn't we get a chance to respond? Because I don't think anybody realized tonight was even on the agenda to do.
The agenda was posted online. It went out to constant contact. I can't make them read it,
I understand.
So I guess my thought is within 30 days, the price is good for 30 days from the date that the bid was open. Am I correct?
Correct.
I know something I didn't talk about was too as well. When we did the bid, when we got the bid, you called me and I said, are we putting this on BidNet or are we doing this? And we agreed between the two of us that we would invite bidders because you knew they were qualified. We wouldn't have to sift through them. So I thought perhaps do we wait the 30 days and do we bid this out again and open it up to everybody?
I feel better about it.
You know what I mean? I think this company is very reputable. I'm super happy that they did, but I don't know what that looks like, and then, Sir Madigan, I'm going to engage you on this. So we decide to let the 30 days lapse, and we decide to open this to everybody. Tell us what the downsides, what that looks like.
So two issues here. We typically do not open it to every contractor. There are certain pre-qualified qualification criteria that we go by, and we follow MDOT in this case. And these both bidders are pre-qualified.
So
It's just like going to get a heart surgery. Would you go with anybody who just graduated, or you want to get some qualification? We want a product that will last. We don't want to maintain it next year and have to replace it in 2 years from now and pay that $600 again. So that's the pre-qualification criteria. Waiting 30 days, there's another issue with that, and I have to consult with or contact the contractor. Their bid is good for 30 days. Already 10 days, 9 days gone by. I'm not sure with their schedule if they can honor that after we push them another 30 days, so plus another 13 days already waiting on, and and then they go out and get their bonds and insurance. So technically, you're delaying them about 2 months right off the bat. So they may not honor these prices.
Correct.
And we could talk to the second bidder and see if they're interested, but their bid is,
Who's a bit higher?
it's 100,000 more.
I got a question on it. Was this put out to the general, was it posted as the availability to bid to the general contractors? Or did we just contact these two people for bids?
We contacted 6 contractors and then 1 local contractor from the township directly, so a total of 7. Now, they all pre-qualified except for that 1 local contractor, and he basically replied, he said this is way beyond his capability. I mean, he's not pre-qualified.
Are these the only 2 bidders we got?
Yep.
The only responsive bidders that were interested.
Is there a particular reason we didn't post it to the, in the legal news that it was coming up and give all the contractors a chance to do it?
Longer bidding time.
But the bidding time is what's giving us a problem right now.
Yeah.
We're really not ready to do this based on what it's going to cost and not having consent from the taxpayers that we're doing it for without having any input from them at all. We went from a $400,000 project to $1 million, where is it, $1.2 million?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's 300%. I'm not comfortable. I don't want to proceed with this.
Well, there are the amenities. If we delete the amenities, which is like the pavilions, and again, these are items fabricated at factory, and they're right now we all know the prices are ways. So if you delete that portion of the project, and we're talking only paving, asphalt, and
So all this is going to be is a field with walkway.
correct. Those prices we checked them, and they are within the current industry prices. So rebidding it, we're possibly not going to get a better price. We may be able to turn, I don't know, 1%, 2%. It depends how hungry and busy we get, and how willing these contractors are being interested in a project like this. Now, these 7 contractors are local and reputable, and we actually just awarded 2 of them in the neighboring communities, and we are very confident that they can do the work. So,
But it wouldn't matter which contractor you did award it to, we have bid specs up there. We have somebody inspecting the project itself, and we would know the work would be done, so it's immaterial who's recommended them or knowing them. It's either they're going to have it done or we're not going to pay the final freight.
not necessarily, because we've seen contractors that are not pre-qualified. So you get instead of the A crew, the A team, you get F team.
Well, we could set the qualifications in the bid specs.
Correct.
Okay, so it is possible to put it out for bid.
Absolutely.
It is possible to put the specs in there.
Absolutely.
And there's a good chance the numbers are going to be different.
Higher.
It could be,
Higher.
could very well be. But at least at that point, we've done where it's hands-on, everybody's had a chance, it's been open to the public, and wherever it ends up, it ends up.
We also have to remember though, our very first survey we put out, oh my gosh, the feedback was only
Well, no, no, what's the
along
one?
that. That's what they all wanted. If they had to pick one thing, that was the one that won, hands down.
How many was that?
Hold on just a minute. What I'd like to do is, and I'll get you, I promise. I mean, and this is kind of a weird thing, we don't do this a lot, but I would like to hear the input of people that are here. So, I guess I'd like to see what Chris has to say. Kathy, you have any more? Chuck, I want us to discuss it up here first, and then I'm going to open it up to the public to give a little, like I said, I don't want this to turn into a forum or whatever, but I want to hear it.
I really wish that someone would give me a call and said, this is going to be on the agenda tonight, I would have been blindsided by it, sitting here, I wasn't making a decision on the ordinance. So I feel a little blindsided. And number two, I'm not happy with the procedure. And number three, I want the community's input by it.
And I agree with that. The agendas went out on Friday.
Okay, and I called on Monday, and it was agreed that they were emailing or emailed to me.
Yeah.
I called on Tuesday, it was going to be emailed, I never got an email. So I've been blindsided by it.
Okay, well, I know they went out to you. I know that your email was on the initial one. So I don't know if somebody actually went into spam.
It's okay, I'm not pointing any fingers.
No.
It's just, this is a large move.
It absolutely is.
And I'm just not comfortable with it. I'm not comfortable, number one, that the general public knows it's on the agenda tonight. I'm not comfortable, I didn't even know it was going to be on the agenda tonight. And we went from 400 to 1,000,002.
I'm not comfortable with that either, Chuck, just so you know. My jaw was on the floor.
So I just really, the least thing that I'm concerned about is this bid and how long it's going to hold. I want the general public's input.
Which
Yeah,
is
they're
why I
gonna be
allow
on here.
people to speak. I'm just here from the people at least that are
Let's
here.
do it,
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, Kath, do you have anything else?
The only thing I needed to add, I just followed that up by letting you know, Chuck, that the original survey with the walking path being like the utmost of what people wanted, because you referred to it as a path in the field. Well, it wasn't, the general population thought it was wonderful, if that's all that they had. It's of our township.
And how many people that consisted of the answer that?
There were over 70, which sounds like a very minimal amount, but in Fraser, they have 3 times the people we do, and they have 11 people answer their survey, so.
I guarantee you, when we put out what we're talking about spending here, what it's going to cost and so, you'll have at least 70 people answer, right?
Yeah, that's the nature of, that's how we go through it. That's the procedure that to go through when you do a master plan, and that's where we got that information from. Just from there. So, Chris, any thoughts?
So is there going to be lights out there? Or so this is no lights at all, just a path? Just a path. And then how many, is it around, like, is it 1 mile around or?
It's been 3/5 mile. It's not the entire path that we wanted to do, because even back then, when we thought it was going to be 425 to 450,000, we knew we couldn't get the whole path. There was no way that was going to happen.
Was it originally going to have lights?
So it's 0.6 of a mile.
Oh, it's just one mile?
If you only do a straight walk, if you do the 8, you're probably closer to the 8 figure when you go around. Remember, there are 3 phases in the pathway, and based on feedback from the township and the rec committee. Phase 3 was delayed, which would continue the path all the way.
Right.
So this is like 2/3 of the pathway forward. Lights were discussed.
Yeah.
It's just too much liability if you open it at nighttime. You have to have some kind of safety measures, even with lights on. Now the extra cost of maintenance. So and none of the paths that we know around the area
Have lights.
Usually close at dusk. Right.
Don't do that.
Usually the courts will have lights, but not the pathway.
Good. Any other questions? So what I'd like to do is give everybody a chance to speak. We're going to keep it to the 3 minutes, because like I said, this is kind of an odd thing. We don't usually open it up, but we're here, and I want to hear from the people that are here. So just like normal, we can come up and we can state our name and our address and give us the information and your opinion on this. We're welcome to hear it tonight, because certainly we need feedback, you know. And so on that note, if there's no other discussion up here, I'm going to go ahead and ask whoever would like to come up first to please come to the podium, state your name and address, and we'll try to keep it to 3 minutes each.
appreciate you doing this. I'm Stacy Daniels, 26161 Dayton Road. I apologize, I usually do look at the packets, and I just didn't this week, so I appreciate that you're letting us do now. So it is a big difference, and as you know, I'm not a big fan of the park, but I do understand that you got the money from the previous deal, and that was the intention of that $400,000. So I just wonder, just an idea, like I said, off the top of my head here, is are we doing this backwards? Could we just skip the trail for now and do the picnic tables and make it more like a park, like where, you know, Pat and I could be while or whatever, you know what I mean? Put some tables out there, get some people out, people can throw frisbees or fly kites or whatever, open up the field. I mean, it's still about cutting grass and stuff, but maybe in the meantime, look for grants, look for, get sell papers for the people who do want to know about it. You can put some, you know, bricks in with their names on it. You know, people sponsor benches, additional benches or tables or something. I mean, if it's something the community wants, you know, a lot of times people go and kick in a little something like that. So it's just a thought of maybe put them in, instead of only doing the trail and no tables or benches, split it, maybe skip the trail for now and do tables and benches and got a bathroom here and I guess that's my thought. Yeah, I'm opposed to spending that much money. I just think for the 70 people in the township who might say they want the trail, I mean, how many will actually use it? And, you know, I don't know. So it's a lot of money, and I appreciate the opportunity to discuss it this way. So
Thank you.
Is there any kind of families?
Oh, Ms. Matson, I will be reporting on the students.
So we're not even all so
No, I'll be reporting. I think there's one. I'm in the center.
Ben Johnson, 77256, I'm on to the point of the notices. Having personally came into this office and watched the office put my email in there, I didn't receive a notice about this. And that was after 3 attempts of entering on the website and still failing to receive notices from the township. So to the point that the citizens were notified, and you spoke about this about other meetings, I understand what the OMA requires, and I understand that posting it on the board meets the minimum. I would strongly encourage the township and this board to find alternative means of notifying the citizens of this township because the system is in place. If we don't come here the night before, we're not getting it. Secondly, the survey on the greater of 60 days. As a new resident, I was not part of that survey, and I do not mean to discount anyone who lived here for eons longer than I. If the citizens said they wanted it, they want it, and that's the point. However, conducting the survey and giving the citizens more than 60 days, knowing full well that the current notification systems in place are failing to notify residents who are actively trying to be involved and notified, I would recommend no less than 60 days, 2 months meetings, and a continuous notice being sent out or even through the mail if need be, to ensure that people are afforded the opportunity to understand the actual cost of this project, being, I believe it was 300% over the original, roughly. All right, and my last point, price per concrete per square foot. Well, I've got the numbers here, but I look at numbers and I look at stuff all day long, and this is a jumbled mess of what looks like a bunch of fluff to me, sir.
Well, that's 50 per square yard.
58 per square yard, so that would come out to about 130 roughly per square foot. Or, no, 58 per square yard.
So you divide it.
Yeah, by now, by my fault. Well, that does sound like an extraordinary deal, but however, looking at this, there is only one major charge.
$7.
Concrete, the rest of it is drainage and all sorts of other things. Secondly, having a place like that on township property, how much do we pay right now for the Macomb County Sheriff to patrol township? Nothing. What's going to happen with the first instance of that being utilized by teens or anyone else, and what's the liability risk to the township with that? What is the future cost of emergency services, patrol, and sheriff to keep the community park safe? These are all things that may have been discussed in the past, being a resident I'm not aware of. I would strongly encourage that we take the 60 days, we take the breather, reevaluate, we look for other bids, and do a full comprehensive study of the risk of the township, the opportunity for lawsuits, that that would open up because kids are kids these days, and we all know what happens, especially down south here.
Good reasons.
Thank you for your.
Yep.
My name is Vicki Tish, 37520 Maple Road. I walk at Daisy Park all the time, so I have a kind of experience with the path. And you asked me, it's going to be a concrete path versus a blacktop path? Is that,
Asphalt.
it's going to be asphalt? Okay. I will tell you, I've been walking there for 6 months with my dog. I have seen major repairs done to it twice already. So not just one area, but multiple areas. BB Park does not plow up paths during the winter. There's a certain cutoff date, and the dog disposal bags, everything's empty after that point. And it doesn't reopen, I think, until the first of May. You can still walk it, but it's not going to be plowed or anything like that. The main concern is you have to have, I don't think you count on maintenance about budgeting if it's going to be asphalt. What I'm seeing is it's constantly being repaired.
Thank you. Anybody else?
All right, Jimmy Murphy, 31707 Richmond. I have a wheelchair user in my family, and I'd like to take him to visit walking paths often. None of the paths that we frequent have ADA compliant areas for us to rest. Our path was going to be ADA compliant. It was going to have a cement pad with a bench and then a side place for a wheelchair user to sit. I don't like going to other paths that don't have that because then I'm pulling, when we rest, I sit in the bench and Jeremy has to sit in front and he's blocking the path. I think an ADA compliant path for seating would be nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I apologize for the word no, sorry.
Anyone else?
Hi, everyone. Tom Green. First, before I get into this, let me start by saying my family and myself that are no bigger proponents for farmers than myself, if you know my past. Having said that, if you take into consideration next year's budget, this board has spent northwards of $200,000 on drains. $100,000 around a year. Was that handled the same way that this park is handled? Does everybody send out a thing? Did the public get their input in this? I don't think so. I think if you don't do this now, it's not going to be any cheaper, number one. What's the saying, if you how do you eat an elephant? What's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You have to start somewhere. Is it a lot of money? Yeah, it is, no doubt. I was shocked. But I think it's a good thing for the township. All the neighboring townships around here have some sort of park, everyone. Expo, Columbus, Arena Township, Wales, Lennox. Some have way more money than us, but some don't. So I think there's a will, there's a way. Thanks.
Anybody else?
At our password 71910 Memphis Ridge. So, because I've known nothing about this, where is that?
The other property back there behind Clark's.
Oh, behind ours. Okay, behind their house?
Maybe back over there, yes.
And so how do we get to it?
You want to handle this?
Sure. So the way it's designed, it's connected to the south portion of the parking lot. So the pathway will go along the south portion and then head west all the way. Branch both north and south and make a full loop and come back to the parking lot. So it's a figure eight.
Okay, so it's not a circle.
No. It goes along the property lines, mainly. It's on the outer side, outer limits of the property. This way, in the future, when the soccer fields and baseball lanes and all that, you can put those, the pavilions and all that, you can have the room to put them inside the path.
Okay. So there's a round circle. Rectangle.
More like a, yeah, rectangle square. Yep.
Okay, and then it's crossing inside that.
Yes.
And so how far around is the rectangle?
Quite a bit.
Okay.
I mean, we're not just 0.6 of a mile long.
So that's a half mile.
You want the exact dimensions? Is that what you're?
No, I'm just trying to picture in my mind, compared to what other, like you go down to Lennox, it's one circle and it's a mile all the way around. That's what I was.
We're the engineers for this, and I designed that back in 2000. So that one is a figure 8, exactly 1 mile, if you do walk it. This one was done in the same way, because you can't get 1 mile straight, so you have to go loop around. So if you can imagine it, it's the southern parking lot all the way to the tree line. That's one way. And you go west all the way to the other tree line. Then you head north all the way to your neighbor and come back to the EMS building.
Okay.
And then come back this way, just behind the township office, and then hook back to the parking lot.
So that's, in addition, that's not on the driveway, you're walking on the driveway?
No.
Okay, separate from that.
So
Okay, okay. All right.
walking path is walking path. You can't combine it with anything.
And so I was having a hard time hearing. Did I understand that there will be no bathroom facilities open?
No, to build a bathroom, could you just give us a brief how much a bathroom is?
Oh, I know they're very
It's millions of dollars. So right now, when the soccer is out there, there's a porta potty, so there would be something of that nature to use, yeah.
Okay, and if you were doing it during the day, you'd be free to come in if the office is open and use the restrooms in here. Is that correct?
I believe so. I mean, I'm sure that would be something, if we ever get to that point, we would have to discuss and put rules and regulations on it of some sort.
Okay, so then if I was going to come and use it, I would park over by the senior center, is where you would park to get access to it.
Yep.
Okay. It's a horrendous. It's horrendous.
It is.
I guess my feeling is, I know all the other townships have things, but we do have reasonably good access to them. And actually, my walking path is my blacktop driveway down.
Okay.
But I appreciate your, and not having any facilities added now. I just, not even trash cans. I mean, I don't know. It's like everything else nowadays, whatever you try to start to do, it just gets more expensive and more expensive.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, hearing no other comments, I'm going to bring it back to the board. Like I said, Mr. Mann and I talked about this for quite a while. This has been something that the township has worked on, and I know not everyone has paid attention, and some of you haven't lived here. It's not something that we just started talking about, just to be fair. We started talking about this years ago that we wanted to do this. Of course, we had no idea that the bid was going to come in over $1 million. I think there's a lot of questions that remain. I heard Sir Matt, and I appreciate all of his guidance with that. I'm not opposed to going out for bid again and opening it up to more people. And I'm not opposed to that, as my husband and I talked about this for a long time before me. I said, you know, I can't, this is tough for me. I have a lot of myself in this. But as I open up with, I am not blind to the fact that it's an enormous amount of money, more than what we had anticipated. I don't want to end up just, you know, I want there to be something there for our residents to enjoy. We have made a great effort to try to address the drains, because that's a need, and I know that is a need. And we are going to have a meeting in June where people are going to get to come and we work hard on anything. And, you know, we've invited people that hopefully will be able to make a difference at that meeting to listen to that. And those are important things. I still feel like we need some type of recreation for the people that will not benefit in the same manner from having the county drains cleaned out or the things of that nature. Doesn't mean it has to be $600,000. It does not mean that. I feel like we need to have something. So, we certainly heard you said it is an enormous amount of money for a little township that doesn't have a high tree or check coming in every year for millions of dollars. And that doesn't have, you know, a lot of commercial business where our taxable is going up exponentially every year. It's a hard decision. It's not going to get any cheaper. You know, do we decide to bid it out again? And we're going to have to work on that later about your constant contact. Figure out, because the agenda should be going out constant contact. I don't know what's happening. So, but that's not for right now. So I guess, long and short of it for me, I heard what you said. I personally don't have a problem, you know, asking to go back out for bid to open it up to more people. We may not have this company bid again. They may say, forget it, I've trimmed everything off that I can. You know, we may end up with nobody that wants to do it. I don't know. You know, go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
If I may.
Yes, please.
So that was one of my notes here to answer the 36-day period. We're in mid-January right now. That'll push us June, July.
Yep.
The construction season is going. These contractors already have on their books for what they've been working on this year. Trying to rebid this right now, there's a very slim chance that you will get hardly any. And I'll give you a perfect example. We went to the village of Bermuda last year. 40 possible contractors picked up a road reconstruction. We received one bid. So that will give you a perspective of what's going on here. Yeah, it's certainly up to the township board of pleasure to do that. I'll just caution you that you may not get any bids, or you may get higher bids. So if the board is willing to not accept any bids and go for next year, again, we don't know how the economy and the prices will react next year. You may get higher prices, most likely. And now you're still back in the same square that the year you get the additional funding. So really quick on some comments. As far as bike pathway and not picnics, this was already solicited by the township to the residents for a survey and the rec plan, and it's already adopted. The rec plan is adopted by the board, showing the pathway as phase 1 of the recreation master plan. The board already approved that. Somebody said asphalt versus concrete for the pathway. Concrete, of course, is more durable, but asphalt, that's why we solicit these pre-qualified contractors to make sure that the product is done the right way. Otherwise, you're right. You would pave, and then in not even a year, you have to start replacing it. We don't want to do that. The ADA, comment about the ADA and the wheelchair accessibility to these paths. Normally, you would see an 8-foot by 4-foot paths, just enough for a bench and a small receptacle. This project had a 12 by 6 pad to fit a bench, a receptacle, and a wheelchair next to them. That was very important to the township.
Yes.
And that's why the prices are a little bit higher. The bathrooms, accessibility, just to give you a perspective, we've done with the neighboring community, we've seen that little white concession building, that cost $600,000. 5 years, 8 years. So right now, it's probably $1.5 million for that small building. Just to give you a perspective of what bathrooms are costing these days. Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you for your information. I feel like we just have to move forward with this. We don't have a full board. I think that we have to make a decision, whatever it is, whether we're deciding to try to rebid again. And if we do that, is it something that, as our engineer says, are we going to have to wait till next year? There's always the option that we're not going to get heavy into tonight, but, I know that we have a November election. We can put some ballot language on there about, do we want the recreation millage? Do we want, what is it, the library gets 70,000, that's 3/10 of a mill, maybe we do 1/4 of a mill, and we see if the people want to pay that. That's certainly not going to pick up this big amount of money, but we will certainly get direction from the people that live in the township if recreation is important to them. We will have a say on, yep, it's worth your time to spend money on recreation, and if it's a resounding no, then we'll hear that. And if it's a resounding yes, then we'll hear that. The library, I think the first time passed by, not much, but it passed. I was surprised. So, but tonight, our decision tonight has to be whether or not we accept the low bid on this. So I feel like that's the direction we need to have. We need to be able to tell them whether or not we're going to accept their bid. And from what it sounds like from Sir Med, perhaps, and if I'm wrong, Sir Med, please stop me. Rebidding it now, I don't know that anyone's going to have time to do this. Am I correct in understanding that?
Yeah, you're thinking of that was, of course. I mean, it's up to the board, but I'm just being your consultant.
That's what you're here for. That's why we have a meeting beforehand. We talked about it. So I think at that point, if the board has no further comment, I'm going to open up for someone to make a motion on this. And we can get a motion and support and discuss that further or something, but we do have to move whether or not we are going to accept a low bid on this because it was, on the agenda. It is an action item. We can't table it because low bid, this bid will be no longer good by the time we meet again unless we have a special meeting. So
I'd like to make a motion that we put it back out for rebid.
is there support on it? Anybody? You support? Okay, so I'm going to ask you to clarify that. Are you asking we go out for rebid just the pathway that we have now, and that it be opened up to more bidders? Is that what you're?
I'd like to see it go out for rebid, and I'd like to see it go before the township voters, when they have the opportunity to vote whether they want it or not, based on these new expenditures.
So those are two totally different actions.
Okay, now, sir,
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion, we send it back to the we put it on the ballot and the township has a chance to vote on based on what these potential expenditures are going to be. It's not 400, it's $1 million. And
It's
go ahead
600
Guess we only put it out.
to put that in, which is what.
So if we're going to go over the
Yes.
whole, we might as well either get it approved or not. What's the point of getting a half a part?
Okay, so your motion is to put the expenditure, to deny this low bid, just to make sure, because we're not going to accept it, which is what we have to do. We can't table it since it's gone in 30 days.
Okay, then 89.
Okay, so to deny the low bid from James P. and further to request ballot language. Do we have time to get it on the ballot? At the next available election,
Yeah.
because I don't know that we have time to do that in November. And if, you know, even if we have to wait, it will be next August. So that would be to put a ballot question on the next available election day regarding the park.
In my heart, I feel that's what I want.
Okay? And you're supporting that?
Yes, I support to be on the ballot for the residents to see how they feel about it. And maybe we could have a small knowledge to.
Would you be able to amend your motion to include the possibility of a small village question?
Yeah, no problem at all.
Okay,
At least if we can do it.
okay.
Because we're obviously going to have to keep on it, we're going to have maintenance. There is going to be extra insurance costs, we know it. We don't question unless we get the insurance company to say, we'll give you a waiver, there will be no extra insurance for this part. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Okay. So,
And I feel like that will have all the residents come out and vote, and not just 70 of them. You know, everybody will know about it.
okay. Okay, so, I just
Well,
clarified.
because it's a special, which is something else.
Maybe 8,000 or 9,000, more than that. Right. Well, I know that we're having an August election and it's too late to get anything on that ballot. The school, do we know yet if Richmond's having a November election?
Yes, they are.
They are? I'm sorry, you said that, sorry about that.
They're close to their meetings.
Okay, good, so they're having,
But
so
they're
I
not
guess,
asking for an increase, it's just to keep what status quo.
so I think the thing would be, if we make the motion next available with trying to do November, then we can piggyback on their election. Is that right, yeah? I think that's how it works, and so what we would need to do before then is to clarify, we're asking the town, what exactly we're asking the township residents is going to be one question, two, probably two, because the millage would, in my opinion, be separate from the park question. Rolling them all in, might, some people might be in favor of a millage, but not spending $1 million on a park. I don't know that. I'm just throwing it out there. But
Ends up being one and the same.
either way, the motion is to deny accepting the low bid, to place a question on the next available election, to see if the residents would like to spend the money on park, and then also to see if they would be, if they would want to vote for a very small recreation village. Am I there?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're in support of that? Okay. So if there's no other discussion, I think that we have to take a vote, we have to take a roll call. So in support of the motion that you made, and you support.
So you're a nay, and a nay, I'm a nay.
I want to be a nay too, and then we're tied. So I feel like we're not going to move the meter on getting approval for, we're not going to get approval tonight. So then there's no way we can table it?
Special meeting with your fifth member?
Only after we have proper notification of the general public and what we're meeting about, and we have a proposed ballot language.
That will not, we won't be able to do that in that short time. There's no way. Yeah, that won't happen. Yeah.
I would, I mean, suggest that, whether table it, go ahead and table it. I don't have the contractor's input right now.
Okay.
We may ask him if he's honoring this for another, 10 days beyond the 30 days, and that would take it to your next meeting. If you want to bring it back next meeting for further discussion.
We can do that.
I just hate to.
Yeah, no, I know, and I'm just trying
They
to.
say, that's no problem,
Right,
we'll be able to do it, so.
right. And I'm just trying to be as logical as I can about this. Again, I'm hearing everything from both sides. And so,
Because if you deny it, that's it.
yeah,
You can't accept it anymore.
so I guess then I would make a motion to table the decision on the bid for the walking path. Hold a special meeting when we have all 5 board members here. And make sure that we get as much notification out as we can. Again, do the constant contact, post it on the door, put it on the website.
What about a special meeting we call people?
That's about $1,400.
We're talking about spending money too.
How do you look at it? So here's my thought on that. We did a special mailing offering constant contact to everyone. We spent the money. How many people signed up? We discussed this
2
before.
people
Not bad.
signed up and 8 people took themselves off the list.
I think in all fairness, we have a very mature group of people at least within the township, and you're going to find a lot of them that are making So a constant contact thing, I can understand.
But I mean,
It's just another advertisement.
We sent those out in the mail, and if we didn't even really get any, response of interest or any of that. That wasn't a computer, that particular thing they did in the mail. We have to move on this at some point, so I feel like for my first motion, I'm going to recommend tabling this and having a special meeting. We can look at our calendar, let's set a special meeting now so that we have all 5 board members. Let's see, it's not open. Just there you go. I get it, because this is what everybody puts on there. It's just going to make noise and everything. So that's all it is to it.
Did you get yours, Cindy?
I didn't get to mine yet, no. So we could, next Wednesday, we have our meeting at 6, but we could have a meeting at 7, or the planning commission meeting, okay.
How would we notify the public to give them a chance to respond? We're going to have a special meeting in the week to approve it.
We're taught now between I feel what you think is proper time to notify the public, and the times of the bid will not be sufficient anymore. Is my thought. So I'm open for your thoughts on that. When is the bid not good anymore? When did you say?
30 days from May 5th.
Go ahead, stay.
That bid's at least my concern. My concern is the general public agreed that we're spending $1.2 million instead of $400,000. And that we can't jam that in a one deal and have a meeting on this without giving the general public the opportunity to know what's coming to them.
I'm really confused with you constantly saying $1.2 million when we're at 600.
So we're going to build a half a park, that's what you're saying.
And not half a park, we're building a walking path. That's a whole walking path, it's not half. The only thing that's not gonna be there is the pavilion, the tables, which can come. But you also with writing grants, okay, if you do the pathway and then you start applying for grants, you might get it. You gotta give a little to get some on the grant playground. So if you want one way or the other,
We just need to explain that to the general public. They just need to have a chance to respond.
okay, but we have to get the response back in time for the deadline. And how are you gonna make that work?
So if it's 30 days from May 5th, what is that date? June 4th. So,
Your meeting is a week after.
okay, so, what if we have a meeting?
I think you should be okay with just your June month regular.
Do you think we'd be okay with that?
1 week is not going to
So
I'm
if
not
we,
telling them fourth time.
so what if we table it until the next meeting? Gives us 4 weeks. We can,
I'll talk to the contractor, make sure they're on board.
okay,
Otherwise, it will be a moot point by next meeting.
right. So I would be fine with that and publicize it as well as we can. Is this meeting going to be on NEMC by then? It's in time.
This meeting here,
Yeah.
I will bring it into the studio tomorrow, so yes, it'll be up.
I just want to make sure, we're concerned about getting notice sent out if there's people that watch it. I just want to make sure that it would be on, for those that do watch. the meetings.
Sure.
So
Yep.
then they could see that we'd be tabling a decision on this until our next meeting.
Okay, yeah, and Elaine mentioned putting it up on the bulletin board also on Channel 6, so I can let Bill know on that too.
So we can put it on the bulletin board, we can put it on our website, we can send out constant contact. Judy?
What about the postcard mailing like you did for the constant contact? How much would that cost?
That was, we did a letter for that,
Oh, well,
Yeah. and I think that was about $1,400.
So a postcard, even if you cut it in half, you're looking at 7.
If we put it in the voice.
The voice
We could put it in the voice. Sure. Yeah, we could put it
You're
in
gonna
the
put
voice.
all these people, you're gonna bring all these people in for what though? You're gonna, just for them to understand, or are you gonna actually go, we can vote on something?
No.
Bring all these people in.
No,
and then
they're-
what?
To give their thoughts.
You're gonna, oh.
I mean, I think that's kind of like the meeting that we'll be having with the drains and the roads, for people to come and express their opinion and tell us what they feel about it.
I think we have one question. It's minor though. Do we not put everything on our website?
Yes.
And do you not all work or have your phone or a family member that has the web for those who don't have it to look at the website to see the agenda?
Am I
Is
being
that
asked to
it?
answer a question, ma'am?
Sure.
Yeah. I look every night, and I noticed the agenda last night on the website. I work 10 hours a day, and I'm already retired once. So, yes, I am extremely active. I do pay an extraordinary amount of attention.
And you did
And I did not see the calendar updated and on the website until, it was Monday or Tuesday, in the last 24 to 40 hours. All that was on there was the agenda. And again, the agenda does not stipulate or clarify or provide any additional information until you navigate through the website and get to the actual board packet. Nowhere in there, a walking bit agenda or whatever the item was on the agenda. That doesn't tell me anything about $1.2 million being spent. The packet does, but how often is that uploaded at the same time as the calendar update?
It goes up on Friday.
Okay, well, we got to move on to this, all right? We got to make a decision. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a motion to table the decision on the walking path until our next regular meeting. We are going to publicize on the bulletin board, the meeting will be out, we are going to put it on the website. We are going to send out constant contact and contact Nicole Tuttle at the voice. She's kind of like our person that we deal with. So that would be my motion. Can I get support for that?
I'll support that.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. So we have 1 no, 3 ayes. Okay, motion is carried. Okay, so next item we have on the agenda, we added, it's the addition of a mile of limestone. At the last meeting, we did have some discussion on where we want the limestone placed. It was brought an idea that perhaps we could split it, not go 6 inches to 3 inches. I could contact the road commission. They informed me, they did check for me at Bluffstone. They're very good about checking for me, and they said, no, that's not the criteria, they wouldn't do it. We sent in the roads that we agreed to. I got a response from the lady at the road commission who said, this is 4.29 miles. I don't know if I wasn't clear or something, but anyways, today I got another email, and they said they had a township that bowed out, and they could offer us an extra mile. So the 3 miles of limestone is $30,785. So if we did an extra mile, it would be a little over $10,000, which is, you know, we're getting about $100,000 of their money for the $10,000. If we were to do that, it would cover all but about a third of a mile of what we sent them the first time. So I'm looking for board authorization for the extra 10,000 and change for the additional mile.
Make a motion to do that.
Okay, is there support? Are we supported? Is there any discussion? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Okay, items for next agenda. Obviously, we will have discussion of the path.
I'll have the amendments.
Questions amendments? We will have a second public hearing for PA 215, prior to EMS. We will have approval of the meeting dates for FY 25-26. Does anyone else have anything? Nope. Okay. Next we'll go Paul to the board. Chris, you have anything?
Yes, I just wanted to say that I did settle with the county and for the tax season of 2024, so we're all set with that, and Tom and I, we are moving on with 2025 right now.
Great job. Thank you. Chuck, anything else? Okay, Kathy?
I'm good.
Okay. I just wanted to remind everybody that Stacy was kind enough to send us a letter. They are having the breakfast is this Saturday. Is that correct? Okay, the prayer breakfast in our Faith Freedman Public Service, and I'm looking for Crank's Catering and Banquet Center. Is that correct? And that's on Hayes Road in Shelby Township. So if anyone wants to attend, I think that would be a good thing to do. If there's nothing else, general public comment.
Okay.
Good.
We went to the North Macomb Roads Commission meeting in Washington Township a couple of weeks ago, and I talked to them about the ditches because I've been at that meeting. And did you know that they budgeted for the ditches?
It is not approved yet.
They said it was budgeted and that they would be notifying every township, so I wanted to let you know.
Yeah, no, thank you, but Mr. Matt and I met with them, and they said they were hoping for that.
Oh, that sounds wrong.
But thank you. Yeah, because we would like to see that for sure. Yes. Anybody else, general public comment? Hearing none, motion to adjourn is in order.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Meeting adjourned at 8:39. Thank you.